Hello everyone and welcome. It's Shanna. Now today is Spellbinder's Crafty Advent Calendar, Day 7. We just did 6 and we're going to open up 7. It's a pretty good sized box here. I had a piece of vellum land there on my box, not sure why, but it's a pretty good sized box. So we're just going to, I'm going to use my 2-in-1 tool and just pierce it, and then we'll get it open and we'll see what we got in here. So we'll just get it pierced with my little tool here. And we'll get it open. And the heat has kicked on, so if you hear that little noise in the background, that's what it is. Okay, so it looks like we've got a set of stencils, three layered stencils here. And so we'll just pull them out and see what they look like. And they've got them taped down. So I'll just pull off that little cover sheet there. It's got a little 7 on the inside of that. I just noticed it for the first time today. I assume they all had them on there, but anyway, we'll get this stencil opened up and we'll take a look at it. It's just a small little stencil, and we've got 3 layers. It looks like this is the stems and the leaves. And then we've got some more leaves and some florals, and then some more. I guess we have leaves and florals on each of them. Anyway, I'm going to bring in my little waffle flower stencil mat and just a white hammer mill panel, and we'll get our stencil laid down on here. We'll get to stenciling. I'm actually going to turn this paper and do it long ways, and we'll just lay the stencil up in the corner of the stencil. At first I thought about doing it in the middle of the page, but I just decided to go ahead and use that stencil guide and get my stencil laid down in there and start just doing some ink blending. So I have got a 4-pack from Altanu. It's gorgeous. I think it's got like a strawberry and a raspberry color and 2 lighter colors. I'll try to link it in the description box below because this color palette is just gorgeous. I love it. I thought about masking it off with some strips of paper here, and then I just decided against it. I thought I'm going to cut it down anyway. So we'll just tape it with some washi tape, and I'm just going to do it on 2 sides so it'll kind of stay in place. And then we'll just get to ink blending on our stencils. So I'm going to use the lightest color here. And for this stencil, if you go in order, I feel like you need to use the lightest color because it's going to layer on top of each other. And if you started out with your darker color, I'm not sure your lighter colors would show up on it. So I just decided to start with my lightest colors and lay it down. And there's some smaller flowers around there too, some buds that I'm going to use and color in. And then I think I'll bring in my second color and add a little bit of color to the edges just to add a little bit of extra interest to it. I'm getting those smaller flowers, and then I'll kind of go around the edges real lightly, just hitting the edges of them. Now, when I first started working with a stencil, I thought, I don't know how this is going to turn out, if it's going to be my thing or not. Now I'm taking my green blending brush and just using what was on the brush for the leaves, and I'm just getting some color laid down on here. But anyway, as I move along with this, it comes together, and I think it turns out really pretty. I just wasn't sure. So we've got our first set of flowers and our first set of leaves laid down on there. And we're going to bring in our second stencil, and we'll get to blending with some of our darker colors. Excuse me, I had to stop and yawn. I'm just kind of tired. So I'm going to do the same, just use the ink that is on my blending brush, but I'm going to go lighter this time so that we'll have some variation of color in our leaves. And I think it'll turn out nice. Now this didn't take very long, so I did leave the video actually real time, and it came together pretty quickly. So next I'm going to bring in my, I guess, third from light to dark, my third color. And this is kind of like the second to darkest color. And we're just going to add some more floral elements here with this color. I need to get these ink pads in the full pad because I love these minis so much. The color's just beautiful. So we'll pull off our second layer, and you can see it's starting to come together. Now this next layer will really pull it together because we've got our stems to everything, and it'll just pull all the elements together. And I'm going to bring in my darkest pink. So I decided I wanted to bring in another green, so I just grabbed one of my Crafting Kimmy mini inks in green. I think this is called chartreuse. And I'm going to get it laid down on there. And it'll add some extra color to it. And we'll have some dimensional looking leaves and stems and stuff. And so we'll just pull that off. And I think it looks really pretty. It's very, I think it's calming. It's just a real gentle color scheme. I'm going to bring that back in and try to add a little bit more green to the flower, stem, and leaves. And just fill in where maybe I missed some coloring. And this is really pretty, just very soft. Like I said, when I started out, I'm like, I don't know if I'm going to like this or not, but I think it turned out beautiful. So I'm going to clean my desk off and get this panel laid down on there. And I'm going to bring in a die and die cut this out. I'm going to use my A2 Matting Basics, and you can tell by the label how yellowed it is. I've had these for a while. These are probably my oldest dies. I got those right off the bat from Spellbinders for layering, and I love them. I used to use them all the time, and I've gotten to where I don't use them as much because I've got some other layering dies that are a little bit fancier or whatever, but these are just some solid dies to have in your stash because they do the layers for an A2 size panel. Now I had a little bit of green down there where it probably shouldn't have been, so I decided to bring in my green blending brush and just to put some ink down on there, and it's got that chartreuse on there, and it really makes it very pretty. It almost kind of gives it a little bit of yellow, and I think it's just what I needed for this panel, just to kind of tie everything in, soften everything, and just make it look really pretty. So I've got my focal point here. Now I'm just going to have to bring in some card elements, and I've zoomed in a little bit so you can see a little bit closer as I assemble the card. And I brought in this checkered Argyle embossing folder. I think it's the embossing folder of the month from October for Spellbinders. And it's really pretty, and I thought it would just add some dimension and texture to my card. And I'm also going to layer it up. So I'm going to bring in a card base, which is just Hammermill 110 pound. And we'll get this checkered Argyle embossed panel laid down on our white card base. And I was complaining the other day about not being able to get ink or glue to come out when I'm trying to lay a card base down, and I'm getting quite a bit of glue there, so it looks nice. So it lined up really nice on my card base. I'm just going to give it a good press. And that is Lagoon. I'm using Essential Cardstock from Spellbinders, and that is Lagoon. I can't recall what the lighter color is. I'll try to mark it in the description box below, but it is Essential Cardstock from Spellbinders. They have fantastic cardstock. And we'll just get this laid down on there. And I did use the 2 nesting dies for these 2 panels, so they work perfectly together. I'm going to bring in some foam tape. I said I kind of gave you the 1 minute. I ran over to my little foam tape bin, and I had some foam tape that kind of matched my color scheme here. And so I thought I would just use it, pop this panel up. It'll add some more dimension, a little bit of shadow to my card, and just make it a little bit more interesting. This is a plain and simple card, but I think it's very elegant. And we'll get it laid down on our card base. And I think it looks really pretty. I like the color combination I've got going there. So next all we need to do is to get our sentiment. And I'm going to use one of the sentiments that we got earlier in the kit. And this was actually from day one. It's the Hello that came with the hot air balloon die. And I'm just going to use the scraps of paper that I die cut out my lighter colored piece. And I'm just going to run it through the die cutting machine and we'll get it laid down here on our card. And it's just a simple hello. And you could use this card for just about anything. And I'm just going to bring in some foam tape and pop it up. The white foam tape will also help my hello sentiment to show through better on there. So I'll just bring in some white foam tape. And we'll just get this laid down on here. And then we'll pop it up on our card. And we've got a sentiment. So I'm just cutting a strip of foam tape and we'll get it laid down on there and get it on our card base. If we can get the release paper to come off. There we go. I'm just going to lay it kind of down there where I had that little ink blending boo-boo. And it'll just cover it up and it just says hello. I think it's really pretty. Now we need to bring in some embellishments. And I've got these teeny tiny embellishments here that match with the color scheme very well. And I'm just going to use the smallest ones and just kind of sprinkle them all around. Now these embellishments are actually from Pink and Maine. But I thought the colors went very nice with the colored cardstock we've got there and then the ink blending that I've done. And I may or may not get a little bit carried away with the embellishments on this. I think it looks cute. I'm going to start out with these kind of turquoise colored enamel dots and get them laid down on there. And then once I get all those laid down on there, then I'll get to thinking about the floral centers. And so then I'll add some of the pink embellishments or the enamel dots and get them laid down on there and fill in some of the floral circles. And I'm having a time. I got a couple of them stuck on my glass mat and had to kind of pick them off. And these little ones, you really got to carefully work at to get them off there. But I really like the smaller ones personally. Now here I'm going to grab some of these pink ones. And I thought I was going to do the center of that big flower. This is where I'm getting it stuck on my glass mat. I thought I'll put one there. And then I realized there's 4 little buds that have little centers on them. And I thought, well, I'll use these teeny tiny ones and do all 4 of those as well. We'll get those laid down on there. Now when I get this finished up, we'll get this video loaded, and then we'll be off to the Santa breakfast. So thanks for watching. Have a great day. I hope you like it. Take care. Bye-bye.